What it is, Brad Lee back again with another episode of Dropping Bombs. Today in the studio, I've got an individual that's helping people all over the, planet or just country?
The country.
All over the country. Protect their brands. She's a brand protection attorney. You've got a story of your own we'll get into. But Andrea Sager is with us today. Welcome, Andrea.
Thanks for having me.
Man, my pleasure. Where'd you fly in from?
Houston, Texas.
Fly in from H-Town just to get on this deal.
Yep.
Oh, H-Town. There's a dude in H-Town named Billy Argueta. Do you know who that is?
I do not.
Well, he listens to every episode, so I know he's listening to this one right now. And you can help him because he started his own company, does drop shipping, e-commerce, things that he's manufacturing, this tire shine shit. That's like better than Armor All. Really, really good Armor All type products. Has his own brand. His labels look a little shabby, personally, my opinion. You hear me, Billy? Get your labels better. Because, man, I'll tell you right now, you pick up a product and you look at the label and it looks like you printed it in your garage. It goes against the credibility of the company. Wouldn't you agree?
I do agree. Yes, yeah, branding is big.
Yeah, and his labels look a little cheesy. I don't know if it's the graphic artist that made it or if he made it himself, but I know he's going to be listening to this, so Billy, get your shit fixed. Now, Andrea can help Billy individually because, again, I mean, there's a lot of things he can protect. But before we get into that, let me ask you your story. What's your story?
So my story is I was born and raised in Houston. I moved to pretty much the smallest town in Kentucky, Pikeville, Kentucky.
That's where they invented the toothbrush.
Really?
Yeah. Pikeville, Kentucky is where they invented the toothbrush.
I should have known
Otherwise, it would be called a teeth brush.
Okay, I've heard that one before.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went to Pikeville,
That's where the
Kentucky.
men are men and the sheep are nervous.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
So I actually went there on a bowling scholarship.
You're a bowler?
I'm a bowler. I bowled in college, and that's how I got to Pikeville, Kentucky. Then I ended up actually joining the Army while there. I did ROTC, joined the National Guard, met my husband. Then I knew I wanted to go to law school. So then we moved to Northern Kentucky and went to law school. Found what I thought was my dream job at a big firm. I thought my goal and my dream was to, work at a big firm, make a shit ton of money, and I'd be set for life. Well, I quickly learned that was not the case. And while there, I realized that I wanted to work with small businesses, not $1 million, billion-dollar businesses.
Right. Why not?
Well, the one time that I finally realized this is not the place for me is when I was bringing in a client. Just a couple of months in, and I brought in a new client who was a significant small business. I think small businesses
That's like us.
Right.
We're significant.
But you're still technically a small business.
Well, what's small?
Well, I think technically it's like $5 million in revenue.
Oh, well then we're big.
Okay.
We're way beyond that. Come on now.
It might be more.
I don't know,
Andrea. I don't know.
I thought it was based on employees. Like if you had less than 50 employees, you were a small business.
It could be.
Is it revenue?
I don't know.
Well, shit, who does? Only if we could find an attorney for that.
I think there's just some mythical term.
I'm going to find that out.
Yeah, I find that out.
All right, so you're working with a big company. You're like, these guys are pricks. What was the prick status that they pulled?
So I was bringing in this client because I used to own a women's clothing store. I was online, then I had a brick and mortar store, then I sold it, and I had all these clients that were other retailers and fashion designers. They would come to me for work. Finally, I was bringing one into the firm, and I was excited. Oh, I'm, this young attorney bringing in business. Well, then I have this senior partner berating me about bringing in a low-quality client, and it was just that day I just realized this is not the place for me. Small businesses need just as much protection. They can pay the fees, so who gives a shit if they're technically a low-quality client who isn't a $1 million, billion-dollar business?
Now you're talking business.
Yeah.
That's right. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, if they can pay the fees, then what's the difference?
Exactly. Don't be prejudiced.
Yeah.
Don't be biased against money. It's all green. So you quit.
Yes, I left probably, I don't even remember the exact time after that incident, but it was just a couple months later. And I was scared because I thought I had a feeling I'd have business, but I wasn't for sure. Luckily, I did have business from day one, and it's just been blowing up ever since.
Well, that's because you're a lawyer. And once you have a law degree, you can pretty much find business on your own. And if you can't, you're somewhat of a idiot, I would say. But I say that about everybody. Like if you're in business for yourself and you can't find business, you're an idiot. You can find business anywhere, at any time. Opportunities are everywhere. Do you know where your opportunities are?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. People don't understand how many places opportunities exist. I can show somebody with no job how to go to the mall and find 20 different jobs. You want to know how to do it?
How?
You walk up to somebody at the mall and you say, "Hi, what do you do?" See, here I'll do it with you right now. Let's pretend I don't have a job.
Okay.
And we're at the mall. Doesn't even have to be at the mall. It could be at the grocery store. It could be at the Starbucks. Could be wherever.
Am I the worker?
No.
No, just a random
This is
person.
yeah. This is real. Let's just be real.
Okay.
I'm just without a job. That's the only thing that we're pretending.
Gotcha.
So I walk up to you and I say, "Excuse me, my name's Brad. What's yours?"
Hi, my name's Andrea.
"Hi, Andrea. What do you do for a living?"
Oh, I'm an attorney. I protect brands.
"Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So let me ask you a question. If I brought you some business, would there be an opportunity for me to make any money?"
Are you an attorney?
"Yes."
If you're an attorney, then yes, you can make some money.
"That's fantastic. See, now I'm in the brand protection business."
Yep.
And by the way, if I'm not an attorney, I can't give you leads?
You can give me leads. I can't pay you for them, though.
You can't? Well, then fucking don't be looking for attorneys at the mall. If they're attorneys, just pass.
Yeah.
Well, that's stupid. That's a stupid law.
Yeah.
Now, I understand with the injury, because then there's ambulance chasers.
Right.
But you're a brand. I can't tell you, "Hey, my friend Lucy needs her brands protected," and then earn money from it.
So I can't give you cash.
What if
for
I
it,
work
but-
for you? How do you find business then?
So I actually have very little paid advertising.
Doesn't matter. Lawyers advertise all over. The biggest, richest lawyers I've ever met are always on billboards and television commercials.
Right.
So if you ask me, the biggest attorneys are the ones that advertise the most. At least everywhere I've looked. Like, think about an attorney and you think about their jingle on the TV or the billboards all over town. They're always the loaded attorneys with all the business. It's because they're freaking advertising. So you not advertising is going to change. I'll bet you end up advertising. But my question is, let's say I go to work at your office and then I find Betty Sue and you're paying me. You can't pay me?
I can't pay you extra for that client.
No spiffs.
No.
No dinner.
But if say you are a potential client or a client who is bringing me business, that doesn't say I can't knock off, a couple $100 on your next bill.
I'm going to investigate that further because that's ridiculous.
I
Like, that's
agree.
unfair. You would think a lawyer would figure out how to change that law.
Well, that's not to say lawyers don't do it.
Well, I know they do it, but it's not legal technically, so they're
Correct.
jeopardizing their bar status,
That is correct.
their registration.
Yes.
You're a doctor too. Do you know that?
I am a Juris Doctorate.
It's doctor's in the title, isn't it?
Yes.
If I was a lawyer, I'd be saying I'm a doctor of law. So that doesn't apply, I guess, when it comes to lawyers then. But a person without a job can go to a mall, introduce themselves, find out what people do, and ask, "Hey, if I sent you some business, could I generate some revenue?" And almost everybody will say yes, which means a person could go to the mall, meet 10 people, and walk out with 10 jobs. Opportunities everywhere. People don't know where to look. I say every day to people, "Do you want to better your life?" They're like, "Yeah." "Do you want to make more money?" "Yeah." "Do you want to do this?" "Yeah." Here's all I suggest you do. And very few people do it, of course, but here's all you have to do if you want to frickin' improve your life. Introduce yourself to 5 people a day. New people, not people you already know. So go to the mall, go to the store, go to the Starbucks, and it's going to feel awkward. It's going to feel stupid. But get good at it. introduce yourself, be gregarious. For those of you that don't know what it means, Google it. Be gregarious, walk up, introduce yourself, smile, and ask people what they do. And guess what? People love to talk about themselves. So now they'll start telling you, well, I'm doing this and this and this and this and this. Good. Now you reverse it. If I could send you business, would there be some opportunity? And they're going to say, of course. You're going to walk out with opportunity. Do that for 30 days. You've met 150 people, and you will have opportunity coming out your butt.
I don't know if I want it coming out of my butt, but that would be...
Dude, I'm telling you. I'm telling you. It's unbelievable. So anyway, long story short, you are now in business for yourself. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You were worried, by the way, that you wouldn't get any business, but sure enough, you did, right?
Right.
That's another thing. Too many people worry about shit that's never going to happen. Too many people won't make the jump into their own business because they're concerned, what if it doesn't work? Well, then you're going to end up right where you are now, which is working for someone else. So you either want to work for yourself or you don't. And if you want to work for yourself, make the jump and shit will work out. And if it doesn't, it's because you're an idiot.
When your back's against the wall, you'll find a way.
Not only that, when I say idiot, I don't mean it rudely. I mean, you're naive. That's a better word. You're naive. Like, go find business. Go close business. Learn how to sell, too. But I can tell by your confidence that you're not afraid to talk.
No.
Yeah. And that's another thing. People won't introduce themselves. They won't make an offer. They won't. They're for some reason apprehensive to suggest, their service or product. All right, so you started your own business. You said, screw it, I'm going to go help small companies protect their brands. That's smart.
Yep.
And they all need it.
Exactly.
So, like, Nate, there's probably people listening with the startup and maybe a small company saying, well, I'm not big enough to protect my brand yet. What would you say to those people?
Every business needs brand protection.
Every business?
Every business.
Every single one.
Every
Pooper
single
scooper.
one. Absolutely.
Why?
Do you want another pooper scooper coming down the road using your business name?
Why would they use my business name?
They can build off of your goodwill, build off of your clients, create confusion in the marketplace.
Yeah, but what if I have no goodwill or good clients because I'm too small?
Then you don't have a business.
I do have a business. It's just not a big one yet.
If you're bringing in business, then you don't want somebody else to come along and use your brand name and cause confusion, because that's what trademark infringement is. That's coming along and using a similar name and creating confusion.
To lead people to believe you might be that good company.
Exactly.
But don't you have to be a particular size company first?
Nope.
Because if I'm going to go start a restaurant and I know of one called Jack's Burgers, I'm not going to copy Jack's Burgers. I just make it Brad's frickin' Burgers. But McDonald's I'd want to copy to lead people to believe I'm McDonald's. So that obviously is a big company. Where do you start worrying about your brand protection?
So I actually tell companies whenever they're asking me, hey, I think I'm too small, when should I actually file for a trademark, or when should I start filing for a copyright? Well, you don't want to wait until it's too late, first of all. So, but I also tell people on day one, especially if you're pinching pennies, you don't want to go out and file a trademark application because it's expensive, it's very lengthy, and it could be a waste of money. So I tell people, if money is a concern, then wait until you know that your business is not going anywhere. Because when you're starting out, when you're starting out, most people have that fear. I had that fear that I won't be here next month, or I won't be here in 6 months. But once you start creating your business, growing your customer list, growing your revenue, and hey, I'm going to be in business this time next year, or, I'm not leaving this anytime soon. Yeah. Then it's time to start thinking about a trademark.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it's expensive. Who says? Compared to what?
So,
like, it may be expensive to you. Maybe it's not expensive to me because it wasn't expensive to me.
Right.
What's expensive?
So compared to a copyright application, a trademark application is expensive.
What's expensive?
A copyright application is $55. The trademark application, it's nothing. And this
That's
is the thing.
That's a shitload of money. You better wait until you're very sure, because if you waste $55, you could be screwed.
Listen, and this is the thing. So many small businesses are so intimidated by the cost of brand protection.
So
but
it's
when I tell them,
$55.
yes, people don't know
But
that.
you just said that's expensive.
No, I did not say that was expensive. A trademark application is what people consider
How much is
expensive.
that?
The application itself can be
It's
as little as
$110.
$225.
Oh, shit. You're breaking banks here.
That's if you file by yourself.
Yeah, but still, that's not expensive.
It's an
And just
no.
as a sales tip for your company, don't run around saying shit's expensive, because it would make me not even want to ask you how much.
Oh, I don't tell anybody.
Which is why I asked. You should.
I don't tell people I'm expensive.
Yeah, but Andrea, that's not expensive.
I don't think it's expensive.
It's not expensive.
When you're working with smaller companies.
It's not expensive to them. They waste more money than that on extra cheese at the drive-thru. I mean, $55 and $255, $500, $1,000. That's not expensive. $1,000 isn't expensive. If people think $1,000 is expensive, they think with a scarcity mindset.
That's true.
$1,000 could, and by the way, what could you save in the future by doing this? Infringement, right?
Right.
Et cetera, et cetera. So at the end of the day, dude, $1,000 is not expensive. If I told you I could save your life for $100,000, is that expensive?
No.
No, I just saved your life.
Right.
So it might $2 could be expensive if everywhere else it was a penny. Well, then it's expensive, but it's not expensive. You got to quit telling people it's expensive.
I don't tell people it's expensive.
You just did.
Well,
You said it's expensive.
I have so many people come to me,
You-
but these
you
are
said-
smaller. These are smaller companies. Like, I mean,
No,
maybe
listen.
$500 to $1,000 of revenue per month.
So what? Andrew,
side
trust me when I
hustlers.
tell you, you never, ever want to say it's expensive ever again, because honestly, it's not. It doesn't matter what you're making. It's not expensive. And when people say, well, how come people don't do it? You should say, I don't know. I mean, it's not even expensive. You see what I'm saying?
I
See the
gotcha.
difference?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Well, how much is it? It's only $255. And then be like, oh, I guess that isn't expensive, because that's not expensive.
It's not.
It's not expensive. How much was that coffee on your desk?
I don't know.
It's
$2.
okay. It's
$3.
freaking 100 of those. Have you ever had 100 of those?
No, I drink tea, and I drink it, I mean, a couple times a week.
You get my point, though.
Yeah, yeah.
And dude, I want to help you grow your business as well. So get rid of the word expensive. A, it's not. And B, it's not. No matter who you are. If I was just getting started and I didn't have $1 in revenue, protecting my brand, if it was $55 or $255, is not expensive. Opening my company was more expensive than that. Registering with the state of Nevada is more expensive than that. Right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And if you want to protect your brand, and you should, and by the way, like, it's so cheap what you just said, I'd protect the brand even if it didn't work out. Like, who gives a shit? Like, hey, I spent $255 to protect it. No one ever tried to steal it, but oh well, at least it was protected. Because what happens when it does hit? And then it sounds like down the road, it's going to be a lot more expensive.
And the thing is, when you have the registration, that's an asset you can sell.
That's an asset you
It's
can
an
sell.
asset you can sell. It's,
Now, does that $255 include your services? No.
No.
Oh, well,
No,
there's
no,
where the
no.
expense comes in. How much do you charge me to go run through the hoops?
So I charge, my whole entire practice is flat fees and subscriptions. So
How much to go get me a registered trademark?
for one class of goods or services, including the search, a basic search, it's $13.50.
Holy fuck, that's expensive. Not really. No, that's a good deal.
Yeah, and that includes the registration fee, the application fee.
Oh, so it's really even less than that.
Yes.
And then you're going to go jump through all the hoops and paperwork for them.
Exactly.
So it's $1,500.
Exactly.
$1,500 and someone
Cheap.
can protect their shit.
And you can turn that into an asset that can be sold. You can turn it into revenue with licensing deals. I mean, the possibilities are endless.
How long does it take?
So you told me you got a trademark for under 6 months.
It seemed like it. I don't remember.
So 6 months is pretty much the minimum. And that's if there's absolutely no complications with your trademark.
Well, I stepped it up.
Yeah.
I paid double.
You paid double.
Yeah.
How'd you pay
I
double?
paid $3,500.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And that ain't expensive either to protect a freaking brand.
Yeah, it's not.
Because now nobody can ever use it unless I say so. Right?
That is true.
So in Billy Argueta's case, He's out there using frickin', Little Billy tire shine or whatever it's called. And all of a sudden, Little Billy becomes very popular and very known for its quality. And then some other douchebag can come along and say, this is Little Billy barbecue sauce. Well, I could be led to believe that it's the same quality as Little Billy tire shine, right?
That is true.
And if he got a protected trademark and I go out there and start, he can just stop me from doing it. What if I've done it and I make millions of dollars? Can he charge me and say he wants that revenue?
He can go back and say he wants revenue from past years as well.
Wow.
Yep.
And that's freaking a nice little plus, right? So what would you have someone do? Someone calls you and they say, listen, I started a business. It's called dropping bombs. Can I register dropping bombs?
Absolutely.
Dude, I'll pay you $13.50.
Let's do it.
Trademark that shit.
We'll do it.
You can't do that.
I can do it.
You can't trademark dropping bombs.
Yeah, you can.
You can?
Why do you think I can't trademark it?
Because they're going to say those are just words.
But if you're branding it as, everything's just words.
Well,
now,
not
you're thinking
logo.
that it's more.
The Nike swoosh isn't word.
That is correct.
See,
so you're thinking
you stand
that it's...
corrected, and I didn't even go to law school.
So I think you're referring to it being too descriptive, but there's ways to get around that.
Well, I want to talk about growing an iconic brand.
Okay.
Right? That's why Little Billy's tire shine needs to get a new label, because no one's going to copy a freaking pixelated turd that's actually, a puff of smoke. But it looks like a turd because the graphic artist didn't do a very good job. Like, no one's going to steal that shit from you anyway. So how do you build an iconic brand? That's what people need to learn. And an iconic brand is built by consistent delivery of quality and trust. People have to look at your brand and say, I trust them. I know what I'm going to get. Then you have a brand worth protecting, right?
That is correct. If you are protecting your brand. A lot of businesses are getting confused with the whole trust factor, because with new businesses popping up every minute, pretty much somebody's business is being infringed upon when these new businesses are opening up.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to be enforcing your brand, then you lose the trust factor. I work with a lot of fashion designers, retailers who wholesale. So they're getting their brand out there. Well, they're getting knocked off every single day. And some of them don't want to take the time to implement a brand protection program. So all these people are coming along and stealing their shit, stealing their copyrights. And so their retailers, they don't want to work with them anymore. If they can go and get it from somebody who's knocking it off for half the price, you've lost all your trust.
Is there a free website that tells me if shit's been trademarked or not?
Yes.
Free?
Yes.
And I just type in the word?
Yes.
What's the website?
USPTO.com. No, USPTO.gov.
.gov. USPTO.gov. Is there a
Yes.
spot that you click?
So you'll go under trademarks. There's a little drop down, then it says searching trademarks, and then you'll do the TESS database, TESS.
And if it doesn't appear there, does that mean it's not?
That it doesn't mean that it's available for use. It could mean that there's just not a direct word match, meaning we look up dropping bombs on the USPTO database.
You got your phone?
No, I left it over there.
Damn. When we get off here, I want to see if I can trademark that.
Yeah, well,
because a long time ago, I wanted to trademark the two letters VT, because people say an LMS, learning management system, an LMS acronym. Well, we're not an LMS technically. We're a virtual training and communication platform, but I thought like VT would end up being Kleenex. Like, hand me a Kleenex. They're talking about a tissue.
Right.
But if your brand's so strong that every tissue is now just referred to as a Kleenex, dude, you win, and you win big. So I want every system, online learning training system, to be considered a VT. Like, do you have a VT? And I can own that space. But I went to trademark VT, and this was years ago, and I think they said no.
I'd have to look at it.
Well, again, I'll hire you to go trademark a bunch of shit.
Let's do it.
But I want to make sure I get them. Now,
Right.
if you can guarantee them, but you can't guarantee them, can you?
No, there's never a guarantee. And the most important
So I could give you $13.50 and you just come back with a big fat goose egg.
So the first step would be the search, and that's the most important part. And I could tell you with a search what our level of risk is going into the trademark process. That's the most important part.
Well, after this podcast, we're going to go take a little stroll to a computer.
Let's do it.
Because if you ask me, there's a whole bunch of shit I'd trademark.
Dropping bombs definitely need... I mean, without knowing what's on the register right now and what's out there, I don't think there's another podcast called Dropping Bombs.
How about making moves?
I don't know.
How about pay me?
We'll find out.
It's almost like cyber squatting when they used to just type in shit to the URL to see if the .com exists. Dude, I buy .coms all the time for the same reason. I bought cornholeheaven.com.
Hey.
Cornhole Heaven. You ever play cornhole?
I was just about to say, like, I lived in Kentucky for 8 years. I know exactly what cornhole is.
Dude, I got Cornhole Heaven. Now tell me that ain't the best name in the world for somebody in the cornhole world.
So in Texas, we call it bags.
Oh. Well.
But in Kentucky, people are like, let's play cornhole. I was like, what the hell is cornhole? And I was like, that's bags. Like, no, it's cornhole. And apparently there's like a whole pro tour for cornhole.
Yeah, well, what better name is Cornhole Heaven?
Yeah.
Well, that's where you get the best cornhole gear in the world. Or you can get cornholed, one of the two. But Dropping Bombs is a good one. Dropping Bombs podcast. When should somebody protect a brand? Like I know your answer's whenever, like ever. But I mean, like, when can somebody, like for example, a .com is the closest thing I can think of. So like if I could go buy money.com, it's worth money.
Right.
If I could go buy milk.com, it's worth money. Podcasting.com is worth money. How do you know when a trademark would be worth money even if you don't have a business? Or do you have to have one?
So a trademark is worth money when somebody values it. I mean,
But like Gene Simmons says, he trademarked the money bag symbol. Is that true?
I don't know.
Well, that's what he says. He says anytime, the little money bag with the dollar sign, he said he trademarked that. And then there's people that trademark phrases like "you're fired."
Yeah. So the phrase thing, the trademark office is actually about to start really cracking down. They're in a...
Can they invalidate one?
Yes. So they can be canceled. And I actually do a lot of those.
Oh, those bastards. So I could spend $13.50, get granted one, then they come along and just say, "Oh, sorry."
If you're not using the mark properly.
Do they refund my money?
Hell no.
Robbers.
No.
Son of a gun. So where do people find your legal services?
So they can find me online. I'm at andreasager.com.
Sager.
Yes. And I have a great blog there. I try to give away as much as possible. And you can really learn all about trademarks, copyrights.
What makes you so passionate about trademarks and copyrights? Why'd you pick that?
So I think where I started with the clothing store.
Is Andrea Sager trademarked?
It is not.
Huh?
It's not.
You better practice what you preach.
No, I thought about that, especially lately, because I feel like I'm a fraud if I don't have my own name trademarked.
Dude, you got to take your own product.
I know.
And I know someone who'll do it for you cheap.
Oh, really? Who?
Andrea Sager.
I'll have to talk to her.
Dude, she's not expensive at all.
Really?
Yeah.
Good
See, doesn't that sound way better?
Yeah.
I could have said what you said, which is, well, it's expensive, but you should call her. Then do you think people will call?
No.
And if you tell me it's expensive, what do you think I'm going to tell my friends?
Nothing.
It's expensive. You're training your customer. You're training your referral agents. So when you tell me it's expensive, you could have left here and someone would have said, "Who was that?" "Oh, she's a patent attorney, a copyright and trademark attorney." And they would have said, "Oh, shit, I'm thinking about trade. Oh, it's expensive. She said it was expensive. Oh, yeah, maybe I better not. I can't afford it right now. Maybe I'll wait." So did you learn something here on Dropping Bombs?
I did.
When you leave, I should, if I read your blogs, I'll never hear it's expensive again.
You won't.
That's good. So now where do you live?
I live right outside of Houston.
Now, when that big flood happened,
I was not there.
Can you trademark Houston Flood?
It depends how you're monetizing it.
If I was you, I'd just go home and trademark a bunch of shit for yourself. Like, I'd be trademarking everything.
So you have to actually be using the mark in commerce. So
commerce meaning exchange of money? Because I have a podcast. So if I say, fart bag, I just used it. Now, can I trademark fart bag?
If you're using it as a brand.
I start off every podcast with what it is.
Hey.
Can I trademark what it is?
Maybe.
I know a guy by the name of Dan Fleischman.
Okay.
And he trademarked Who's Your Daddy?
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, he trademarked it and made a shitload of money on it, licensed it out and everything.
Yeah.
Who's Your Daddy? So how did he get Who's Your Daddy?
He filed a trademark.
That's it?
He filed a trademark, proved that he was the first one to use it. Or he may not have even had to prove it. If somebody challenged it, then he would have to prove that he was the first to use it.
So it's no guaranteed winner.
Correct.
I thought once they stamp it and you get your certificate, that's it.
No, because they go according to class. So you can trademark dropping bombs within, like for a podcast, but I mean you're not a construction builder, so you can't go and trademark dropping bombs as the name of a construction company.
Mm-hmm. So like my buddy Andy has something called the MFCEO project. Now, if he did not trademark it, and I started my own podcast, and I said, I like that name, and I start it, and I start to get a little notoriety, and by the way, the consumer could believe I was Andy. So they started listening to my podcast thinking I was Andy and finding out I wasn't, but too late because you already heard it. Now you love it, right?
Right.
And then I go file a trademark because I thought about it and had the money to do so. Then the government says, here, you can have it because Andy has not. Then I go to Andy and say, shut your shit down, bitch. That's my name. Is that possible?
No.
So they wouldn't let me.
So after 5 years, the means to cancel a trademark become very limited. Basically, it's based on, it would have to be fraudulent. But if it's within the 5 years that you have filed and been registered, then Andy can come along and cancel your mark because he was using it first.
How can he prove that?
Whatever he's doing, he can show. One way that I use is actually the Wayback Machine.
Yeah, the Wayback website thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I used to tell people? Tell me if this is true. I would say email it to yourself. That's the poor man's copyright.
That's true.
Is that
so? That's technically not published. If you're
stamps it though, time and date.
Yes, but it has to be published for copyrights. Copyrights have to be published. So
post an ad in the newspaper.
There you go.
That's all you got to do.
There you go.
That's
you just have to share
though.
it with one person. Send a Facebook message to your friend.
Yeah, but posting an ad in the newspaper is expensive.
Is it?
Sure.
How much is it?
I don't know, $15.
Does anybody do that anymore?
No, because they got people like you out there. Now anybody wants to protect their brand, they're going to call Andrea Sager.
Exactly.
We got to come up with a good slogan that you can trademark.
Dream it, grow it, protect it.
Is that yours?
Yeah.
Did you trademark it?
Not yet.
Why aren't you trademarking shit?
I'm still new. I'm new. I know I'm going to be in business. I just haven't done it.
But you can do it, and it doesn't cost you the $13.50.
That is correct.
If I was you, I'd be home trademarking shit left and right. I'd just be sitting there thinking up, what else can I trademark?
Yeah, but I just have so much other business going on.
You for other people.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, you want more business?
Bring it.
Because all you got to do is hire more trademark attorneys that work now for Sager Copyright and Trademark.
Andrea Sager Law.
Esquire. What the hell's Esquire, by the way?
I don't know. I'm in some Facebook groups, and they're probably monthly. There's a debate over whether we use attorney, lawyer, or Esquire.
What do you use?
Andrea Sager. I'm a lawyer. I'm an attorney. I don't know.
You can't put Esquire on there?
I can, yes. I can use all three terms if I want.
Could I?
No.
I can't say Bradley Esquire? Why?
Because...
What's an Esquire?
I don't know. I don't know the...
They don't teach you that in school, do they?
No, that's, life skills. They don't teach you life skills.
But that's called basic. If you're going to get out and call yourself Andrea Sager Esquire, you would think they'd start out the whole freaking law career education as. All right. Welcome to law school. When you get out, you're going to be a lawyer, an attorney, or an esquire. Here's what esquire means. It started out in 1522 with King Charles in England. Lawyers then were called esquires.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
I think so. I think it's like an old English term. And I was actually doing a podcast last week. The lady was based in Canada, and she was asking me what I preferred, lawyer or attorney. And I told her I didn't care. And there's one in Canada. I don't remember if it's lawyer or attorney, but there's one preferred term in Canada.
Which is?
I don't remember. I think it was attorney.
It's probably attorney, eh? Or lawyer, eh? Or esquire, eh?
Yeah.
So I can't believe you are not executing on your own advice.
I'm pretty awful.
Way awful. What if someone steals Andrea Sager after this podcast?
They can't.
How come?
Because I have the common law rights to it.
Well, then why would anyone need to do it?
Because you still want the registration. That way people can look at the register
Then why don't you want it?
I do want it. I just haven't done it yet.
How come? You better get her done.
I'm lazy.
First thing, yeah, but like just like people call me, they're like, "Hey, you want me to help you build your social media?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I always want more followers, but as long as they're real and engaged, because otherwise they're worthless. You can help me with that?" They're like, "Oh shit, dude, I'm the best in the freaking business." And I say, "Oh, well, then why do you have 219 followers?" Well, I don't do it for myself. Why? Why wouldn't you do it for yourself? That's the question. So when you get back, you're going to stop saying it's expensive, and you're going to go trademark some shit.
I am.
I'd love to just say, I just bought a website. You know what I got?
What'd you get?
IntroduceYourselfMotherfucker.com. Do you believe me? It's the truth. Look it up. Bomb Squad, when you hear this podcast, go Google. Go to GoDaddy.com and look it up. I also got Get That Fucker on the Phone.com. Because those URLs are kind of like trademarks. They're kind of like, they're valuable.
Right.
Cornhole Heaven is a valuable brand even if you don't build one. So I can basically own the domain, not do anything with it, and then someone else comes along and builds an actual brand called Cornhole Heaven. They have to buy that for me. There is no patent office or trademark office that's going to stop me from having it, right?
Correct. And that's what a lot of people get confused about, actually, because they think, oh, I have the trademark. Now they have to give me that domain name. They don't.
No, hell no.
No.
Now, in some cases, though, they have.
Right. If it's actual cyber squatting.
Yeah.
Well,
I was going to invent cyber squatting. I didn't have any money back then. But literally, when websites weren't even websites, so I was saying to somebody, so I can just go buy like Ford.com. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, so I can just type in Ford.com and buy it? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, no way. So I'm like, why wouldn't someone just sit there and think up everything there is and buy them all? And I didn't have the money to do or I would have done it. And they're like, you can. And I'm like, no way. Well, sure enough, you could. Well, I didn't have any money. Those were like, if you were going to buy 100 of them, you better have $5,900 or whatever. I didn't have the money, so there was no way to do it. But then I heard stories like years later of cyber squatting where people were buying websites and then selling them for a ridiculous amount of money to the people that probably should have got the rights to them in the first place, but it didn't work that way. So you can't do that with trademarks.
Right, but if you go to Nissan.com, it's not owned by Nissan.
But it's a different Nissan.
It's a company, some guy, like, I think the website now is basically dedicated to informing the public about this lawsuit that Nissan has against them. Yeah. And I think it asked for donations to fight this lawsuit.
Wow.
Yeah.
That'd be a bad situation. Like if I had Lightspeed VT and someone else owned it and it was talking about me poorly. That's terrible. Yeah. Nissan's probably Nissan Motors USA or something.
Yeah, probably something like that.
All right, so let me ask you a question. You flew all the way out here because you wanted to help people do what? You wanted to be on this podcast because you wanted to help the Bomb Squad do what?
protect their brand with a copyright and a trademark.
Okay.
Multiple
of them.
Because most people don't know that they probably are eligible for multiple.
So give me an example of that. I'm Lightspeed. Help me out.
So,
what do I need?
Lightspeed. You got
it.
I mean, under you yourself, you have Lightspeed. You have Dropping Bombs. You've got maybe your tagline.
Which is?
What do you say when you first... What it is.
What it is. But you have to say it right.
So, what it is.
That's right. What it is. What it is. Dropping Bombs. Can I trademark my name?
Yes.
Why would anybody want my name?
Maybe they want to
Can I
you.
copyright someone else's name?
So that would be a trademark, not a copyright.
Can I trademark someone else's name? Can I trademark Tony Robbins and then tell him to change his name? It's mine.
No. So you have to actually...
Where's the opportunity here?
You have to actually be using the name in business.
I got you.
You have to be using it as a brand. That's why it's called brand protection. When it's your brand, you protect it. And trademarks are all about branding. So your brand name, your logo, your slogan, and copyrights are anything creative. So literary works, the content on this podcast, blog posts, your logos. Logos can also be copyrighted.
How about
Jokes. That depends. So the Copyright Office specifically states that short phrases and quotes are not copyrightable. However, if they identify a larger source of a creative work, then that might be copyright infringement. So
what about show names, movie titles?
Trademarks.
Scripts.
Copyrights.
Interesting. So let's say there's 500 small business owners listening to this podcast right now. They haven't protected shit. They own Jimmy's Landscaping, Little Billy's Tire Shine, and Alice's Bake Shop. What would those people do? They'd call you, obviously,
right.
Stroke you a reader, sit back and let you do the work. But why would they do that?
So you want to protect your actual brand name. That way you stop anybody else from using your name, because you don't want to cause confusion. Like, you don't want other consumers going to a similar business name. So say you have Dropping Bombs, and say another podcast comes along and it's called Dropping Grenades. That could be trademark infringement.
Really? Even if it's not the same?
Yep.
So if it just leads someone to believe.
Consumer confusion is trademark infringement.
Interesting, because normally it would be like, well, shit, you're dropping bombs, I'm dropping bomb.
Yeah, you can...
You're Andrea Sager, I'm Andrea Sager.
Trademark infringement.
So now that I do have a registered trademark, what should I do with it?
You should make sure it's being monitored, first of all.
How do you do that?
Typically, either you can do the work and, look it up every once in a while, or you can have an attorney who has all that automated. And I get an alert when there's a new business or something comes up and it could be confused with my client's trademark. And I call the client and say, hey, we've got this. These are our options. What do you want to do? Right.
Here's a valuable reason that you should trademark and copyright your name of the company that you have or you're starting or you're building, once it's viable. How about Google AdWords? You know how Google AdWords works?
A little bit.
So if I type in the word Andrea Sager, who do you think would come up? Andrea Sager. But if I wanted to, I could pay Google to put me in front of you. So when someone typed in Andrea Sager, I could have a paid ad appear before your organic name or website that says, rates cheaper than Andrea Sager, or services equal or better than Andrea Sager. Now, if you didn't have your name trademarked or copyrighted, you can't stop me. But if you did have registered trademarked that name, they can't use my name, correct? In any shape or form.
That is correct.
Because thankfully, I did follow your advice, and some prick junior jack-off company that I won't name literally paid Google AdWords. So anybody typed in Lightspeed VT, they had a freaking paid ad that said a better alternative or a cheaper alternative than Lightspeed VT. That's what their freaking copy was. So I called the company and I said, dude, you can't use my name. And they said, why not? And I said, well, what do you mean, why not? They said, is it trademarked? And I said, in fact, it is. And they said, no shit. So their legal department told me to provide proof, in which case I provided proof, and they had to stop using my name. Which, again, I'm not that big, so it doesn't matter. But I can understand if you ever got big, it really will matter. Like Nike, knocking off Nike, Louis Vuitton, any iconic names. You know, if you're Little Billy's Tire Shine, it's not iconic, but it still could be stolen, especially regionally or locally.
Well, the thing is, that's why it's becoming so important for small businesses. The platforms, Etsy, eBay, Poshmark, Amazon. Well, first of all, Amazon, in order to be a brand there, you have to have a registered trademark. There's no way around that.
What do you mean?
So all these people are drop shipping, private labeling. If you want to be a brand, an actual brand on Amazon, you have to have a registered trademark now. It used to not be that way. I don't know when they changed it.
So Little Billy's Tire Shine can't be on Amazon?
They can be on Amazon, but they can't be... They can sell products, but in order to have like the brand recognition on Amazon, you have to have the registration.
Wow.
And so just like you have Google AdWords, you have each platform has their own form of SEO to rank on Amazon or to rank on Etsy. Those platforms are starting to require an actual registration if somebody else is actually using your name as like to tag you. I get people from Etsy all the time who say, hey, somebody's tagging my shop on their product to get, other consumers to their store.
Now we're talking.
And now I'm telling, like, if you don't have a registration, there's nothing I can do for you.
Right, but if they did...
Then, those listings would be removed. They may be kicked off of that whole platform.
See, the whole podcast was worth it right there. Because I like to give people whys. I always ask why. Like, why would I want a trademark? What the hell? I'm not big enough. Well, here's why. Because your competitor could be using your name to draw traffic from what could have been to you. And you're not a very good, hashtagger or keyword searcher or SEO specialist. So you don't even realize it. But anytime someone types in a word that should find you, it's also finding your competitor, and you can't stop them unless you're freaking registered.
That is correct.
So how do you police it? My last question, because how do I police whoever's, if ever someone's using Lightspeed VT in any shape or form?
So first you can reach out yourself. Are you talking about once you've already found somebody that's infringing?
No.
Or how do you find the infringer?
Yeah, I can't sit there and search the whole internet.
That's what you pay your attorney for.
What do they do?
Go out and find the infringers. I go out and find...
How do you find them if they're, like, not very famous?
You'll find them on the internet.
You just Google your own name?
Google, look them up on Instagram, any platform. I find... Listen, that is my real skill, is finding infringers. Any platform.
We just covered another value. Folks, how about this? If you're already registered and trademarked and you want to scan the internet and find infringers, it's Andrea Sager, the infringer finder.
Yeah, no, I have
What
clients.
do you charge for that?
So I have a subscription model for that. They pay me monthly.
How much?
It depends how many copyrighted works, how many trademarked works.
Just one, Lightspeed VT.
The trademark, to actually look for trademark infringement, enforce it. And
enforce it, just scan the internet.
So to just scan the internet. So I don't just scan the internet. I scan and I enforce it. That's, just for the one trademark is like $600 a month.
A month?
Yeah.
That's expensive.
No, it's not.
See? There you go. Now you're learning. All right, so if you guys are out there listening to this Dropping Bombs episode and you're thinking, damn, I am big enough to not, like, I can afford it, but I still haven't heard thoroughly why someone should do it other than, yeah, you probably should do it. But like nothing's getting me off the phone calling Andrea Sager at this point. I'm thinking, yeah, it was a funny episode, and yeah, they're probably right. I probably should. But give us something that would make someone go, holy shit, I better make this investment right now. Like, I want people a year from now to say, I listened to Andrea's podcast and I did it, and thank God because of this, and thank God because of that. Let's get some freaking thank God's going.
Oh gosh, you're putting me on the spot.
Give me some examples of stories.
So I actually have one of my bigger clients is constantly being ripped off by bigger brands. They're a small designer, and they're ripped off by, Academy Sports and Outdoors.
No.
They're kind of like a Dick's Sporting Goods.
See, Dick's. You can copyright a dick.
And they, I can't give too much away, but they're constantly being ripped off by bigger brands. And they were paying somebody, they paid somebody $1,200, another attorney, $1,200 just to send one cease and desist letter. And thankfully they found me, and I automate everything for them. I find their infringers. I find what business it is, who the individual is, maybe their Facebook page, and we go after them, take it all out of their hands. They don't, because they used to enforce that themselves, and they would get hate mail constantly.
And if you don't enforce it, you lose it.
Right.
Or could lose it.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
So, we take it all out of their hands. They really just get to work on their business. They don't have to worry about copyright infringement, trademark infringement. I take it all out of their hands. If I need to contact them, I will, just because I say, hey, I'm going to send a letter, cease and desist letter to this person. Do you have anything against that? Whatever. But they've been able to create licensing deals. They've been able to create, they actually have more trademarks now because they're working with me. So that's creating another passive revenue stream with the licensing deals. So that's a big one right there, because a lot of people don't realize that I need a trademark. They don't know that they need an actual registered trademark or an actual registered copyright for the license. Because you can have something great, a great product, a great name, but if you don't have it registered, then you can't really do much with a licensing deal. And that can bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Maybe
millions, depending on the name.
Well, Disney, their biggest revenue stream is licensing.
Yeah. Can I copyright Disney?
No.
Would I trademark it?
You would trademark the name Disney.
What if I go down and I'm a really good artist and I just create a Mickey Mouse costume to stand on the strip and let people take pictures of me? Because it has to be a protected character. Mickey Mouse.
Yes, that is a protected character.
So if I create Mickey Mouse costume and stand on the strip and charge people $5 to take a picture with Mickey, Disney can stop me.
Absolutely.
See, Disney was smart.
Disney is very, very smart. Their intellectual property is the most valuable asset that they have.
Unbelievable.
A lot of businesses, their most valuable asset is their intellectual property. And a lot of businesses don't know that they're sitting on a pile of assets of intellectual property.
So can somebody call you and kind of just ask you some questions? Do you have free consultation?
I do. Email's the best way, actually.
Where do they email you?
Andrea@andreasager.com. Let me know basically a background.
Make sure you have #bomb squad so she knows where it came from.
Yeah, there you go. And give me some background, then I'll say, hey, you schedule a consultation here, we'll chat.
Yeah, and you help people find maybe some nuggets in their IP?
Yeah, because people come to me and they say, hey, I want to trademark this, or I want to copyright that. I'm like, well, that can't be protected, or this can be protected, and this can be protected. And I let them know, like, everything in their business. Basically, I run an audit on their business. Mm-hmm. And I say, okay, this needs to be protected. This might be able to be protected. So it's going through your business, letting you know what can and can't be protected.
It's almost like you got to be a lawyer to know everything.
Almost.
All right, folks, listen, I believe that protecting your stuff is smart, even if you never have to use it, because it's better to need it and not have it. To have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. AndreaSager.com. Follow her on Instagram at Andrea Sager Law. right?
Yes.
At Andrea Sager Law. Thanks for coming in, by the way. You
Thanks
flew
for
all the
having
way
me.
out here just for this, or you having a little vacation while you're here?
No, I'm just here for the day, but I've got clients up at the NFR.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You don't, the NFR.
National Finals Rodeo. I kind of was
Now,
there.
see, is that trademarked?
I think it is.
It has to be.
It is.
If it's not, dude, I want to trademark that. All right. Well, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Appreciate you sharing with the Bomb Squad some valuable lessons, and that hopefully some of them will reach out to you and protect something, and I'll get credit for it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Ladies, gentlemen, Andrea Sager will help you protect your shit. Tag, share, and rate the Dropping Bombs podcast, because I'm going to be trademarking it so none of y'all can use it. Till next time.